We've recently had a lot of questions from viewers asking how they decide whether they need a short, a medium or a long cage rear derailleur, and also whether they need to change it out when they swap the ratios of the cassette or the chain rings at the front. Well, we've been doing some research here at GCN, so hopefully in this video we will answer those questions. First up though, let's explain what the derailleur cage is and also what it does. So this is the cage just here on the lower part of the derailleur, and it houses these two jockey wheels. On a short cage derailleur like this one, the jockey wheels will be quite close together, and then on a longer cage one, they'll be much further apart. Now these cages have a spring on them, and that is to keep tension in the chain. Without that spring, there'd be a lot of chain slack down here, which means as you're riding along, this chain could be flapping into your wheels. It'll probably come off the front chain rings, and at the very least, you will not get crisp changes here at the rear sprockets. So let's show you what it does by putting it onto the small chain ring and the smallest cog at the back. As you can see, the hanger's gone right back here as there's not much tension in the chain itself. Conversely, if we go right up to the big ring at the front and all the way up to the biggest cog at the back, you can see there's a lot of tension in the chain, so that cage has had to move right forward. Now the longer the cage, the more of a difference in ratio between the smallest and the biggest sprockets and the smallest and the biggest chain rings your rear derailleur will be able to take. Now that's why almost every mountain bike has a long cage rear derailleur, because in general they have wider gear ratios, especially here at the cassette, but also sometimes at the front still when they're running triple chain rings. So in order to decipher which is the proper rear derailleur for your particular bike and gear ratios, you first need to decide exactly how much of a ratio you've got on both the front chain rings and also at the cassette. So here at the front we've got 52 and 36 chain rings. That's a differential of 16. At the back we have 11 up through to 28, which is a differential of 17. So total them up and you've got a differential total of 33. Yes, maths has always been my strong point. Having worked out our total differential, what we then want to do is find out the capacity of our rear derailleur. Now that often is a case of looking at the instruction manual which came with your rear derailleur or with your bike when you purchased it. If you've mislaid that, well, you should be able to find it by looking the model up online. And some companies, such as SRAM, actually mark down the ratios that each of their rear derailleurs is compatible with, both in terms of chainring sizes and also in terms of cassette sizes. What you want to find is that the capacity of your rear derailleur is at least as much as the differential that you calculated earlier on in this video. So then, for example, if you want to change your rear cassette size or your chainring size, maybe something monstrous like this, which is an 11 up through to 36. This will then give us a differential at the back of 25 plus the 16 we've still got at the front. That's 41, and that probably means that we're going to have to change our rear derailleur if we want to be able to use that. Now a couple more things to take into consideration. Firstly, chain length is also important. If it's too short, I'll give you an example here, it pulls the rear derailleur so much that actually it won't physically be able to get it up onto the biggest sprocket at all. Secondly, there's also a maximum sprocket capacity on a lot of rear derailleurs, and that means the maximum it can have in terms of your biggest sprocket here at the back. And that is because of the distance that it can get the top jockey wheel away from the frame. If it's not enough, then it's again physically won't be able to get it onto a very big sprocket here at the back. Now, lots of you are probably wondering why you can't just use a long cage rear derailleur for all gear ratios. And that is a very good question. Firstly, it will be slightly heavier. That might not matter much to many of you. And secondly, some people say that the shifting there at the rear cassette isn't quite as crisp and precise as if you had a shorter cage one. But in all honesty, it probably won't make too much difference, and yes, you would get away with it if you really wanted to. Anyway, hopefully that will explain what you need to do, and if you change either your chain rings or your cassette, you'll just need to do that calculation all over again and make sure that the capacity is at least as much as the total differential. Now, a couple more videos that you might be interested in now. Just up there, Si talks you through how to know when to change your chain, cassette and chain rings, and just down there we show you how to change your cassette. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, it's free. Just click on the globe which is here.